Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and your participants, welcome to the research workshop on Principles of Research Methodology. Research is the cornerstone of academic and intellectual growth. It is through research that we seek answers to the question, unravel the mysteries of the world, and to make informed decisions. We are privileged to have with us today a renowned expert in the field of research, Dr. A. Kavita, Associate Professor of English at SRM College, Chennai. This workshop promises to be an enlightening journey into the intricacies of research methods and techniques. To formally inaugurate this event, I would like to invite Mrs. Chidambara Rani, Assistant Professor of English at our esteemed institution, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to one and all. Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. A. Kavita, Associate Professor, SRM College, Chennai. Distinguished Deans, SRM Layout of Science and Technology, Ramapuram, esteemed Vice Principal Academic and Vice Principal Admin, sir, respected HOD ma'am, and my dear friends. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming all of you to the 1 week international virtual workshop on research methodology organized by the Department of English and Foreign Languages. Today, we all have gathered here to discuss about a very important topic, principles of research methodology. Today's event promises an engaging and enlightening experience for all of us. Let's open our minds and hearts to new ideas as we join together to learn new facts and share knowledge. I would like to warmly welcome our chief guest once again, who have generously agreed to share her expertise with us. So let's all take advantage of this opportunity to grow and learn together. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome. Now we have Mrs. S. Devalakshmi, Assistant Professor of English, to introduce the guest of the day to the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a huge pleasure and privilege to introduce our chief guest of the day, Dr. A. Kavita, to the audience. Dr. A. Kavita is a scholar with an eminent career in academics. She currently works as the Assistant Professor of English at SRM College for Women, Chennai. She has also joined several positions in academic arena as the setting and evaluation of team for JBAS, Quaid Millet, National Christian College, New College, Ellen Government Arts College, and Beard University. And she has been in the passing board at Beard University and E.G. Vaishnav College. She has been the scrutiny at Lilo College, Beard University, and her commitment to the college duties as NSS Program Officer in the year 2018 to 2022 and magazine editorial team in the year 2020 to 2022 have left an indelible mark. With a doctorate in English literature and numerous publications to her name, she has not only expanded the boundaries of knowledge, but also inspired countless students and scholars in their academic journey. English language teaching is an area of research. She is a specialist in literary theory and criticism along with English for specific purposes. She has been guiding MPhil scholars at various universities. She has been the part of UGC-sponsored refresher courses in English by UGC HRDC, the Academic Staff College, University of Madras, and she participated in UGC-sponsored refresher course in English on the theme Literature, Arts, Media, and Semiotics, and rendered her participation in a workshop teaching reading skills organized by British Council, Chennai, on December 2006. She has attended many seminars and workshops. She was invited for a speech for a workshop on employability skills through English project by LTI in Sri Krishnaswamy College for Women and another Chennai. Further, she delivered a lecture on the use of social media platform in a national workshop on virtual learning conducted by the Department of English at SRM College in association with the Department of English, University of Madras. and English Language Teachers Association of English, ELTA. In addition to this, she has presented and published papers in national and international conferences. And to name a few, WhatsApp as an effective teaching tool to teach and listening speaking skills in ESL classrooms in both the International Conference on Insights and Innovations in Humanities, Arts and Sciences held at Malaysia on 22nd and 26th August 2019. In recognition of all these academic accomplishments, she was conferred with Dr. Vedatri Shanmugam Award for PhD Research in English, Ethiraj College for Women, and she has been the recipient of Global Iconic Education Award for Best Researcher ESN Publication, Goa. Beyond her accomplishments in literature, and she has mentored and guided enormous research scholars and fostering a culture of academic excellence. Her insights into research methodology she has been invaluable to many aspiring researchers. We are truly honored to have Dr. A. Kavita here amidst us today as our chief guest. Looking forward to her valuable insights and wisdom on the title Principles of Research Methodology. Once again, I welcome Dr. Kavita. The forum is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you, Asha. Good afternoon to all my friends. Am I audible? Good afternoon, colleagues, student friends, and all of you. I'm here to share my experiences, I should say, on research. And when I say principles of research, I'm only talking about things that you already know. And I'm here to just throw a light on all the terms that are there. That are prevalent in research, and this is a platform. First, I thought it was only for students, research scholars, and then I came to know that there are a lot of teachers who have researched and who are doctorates, and I'm addressing them. I'm only sharing my ideas and views, and if at all, if I have missed out on something, I'm very sure that all of you would agree with me that we all have our own ways of interpreting research. And I have shared my PPT to Nadia, and I hope, Nadia, can you just share the PPT, Nadia? And I take immense pleasure in thanking SRM campus and the management principals for giving me this opportunity to share my views with you all, the learned audience. And I believe that learning is a two-way process, and after today's session, I too will get enriched from some of your inputs, and I'm here to share only my ideas and whatever I think is research methodology. So these are, and all the slides that I have prepared are from the open resource material, from all the common platforms that we view as researchers, as teachers. So you can always go back and check for all those information in detail. So let me begin without much of delay. The second slide. My topic, principles of research methodology. I am just highlighting on the things that we already know, but just in a perspective. And this is my perspective that I'm talking about research. As we all know, research is a scientific systemic search for information and specific topic on a specific topic. Today, the world has changed into a globalized one. So where we need a very systemic inquiry into any special knowledge. And sometime back, AI was just a thought, and today it is a reality. So like that, living in moon would be a reality, the next point. So like that, when we are trying to tread into new areas of knowledge, we have to find a systemic way of trying to get information. And when you get that information, you have to present it according to the facts that we know in any branch of knowledge. So that is research. And when we are researching on topics that are new to knowledge, then we should be planning ahead and then presenting it in a very systematic way. And also research is considered to be moving from the known to the unknown. So generally, there are some things that we know, and sometimes we need to understand. And as we try to understand, we stumble upon the unknown facts, and that unknown fact will give you one curiosity, and that curiosity will always make you very inquisitive to understand more. And I think all of you as researchers and students of research will agree with me that if you stumble upon some facts, you will, your human mind is very inquisitive. So we naturally try to go and find more information on the particular topic. So what you think you know, you will suddenly come to know that you have not known. So long till we do research, we don't know what research is. And after we do research, it is then that we open our eyes and then we understand that's more to what we thought of. So that is the point that I'm trying to make. Research is moving from the known to unknown, and the human mind is a very inquisitive mind. And when we do some research, it is from one to the other, and sometimes it is leading from the specific to the general, or sometimes from the general to the specific. So next slide, please. The next part of what is research, you have why we have to do research. Nadia, can you share the next PPT slide, Nadia? Nadia, the next slide. Yeah, why do we research? Why do generally we research? Is to find the hidden truth. You have to discover the hidden fact, and you have to get new insights. See, new insights are really interesting. And as you see, the world has progressed from what it was. So long time ago, when people said people are going to the moon, it was all they were thinking it can't be achieved. But today we are able to make new territories our own. So that hidden truth is discovered, and when we discover new facts, we'll have to record it, and that will give new insight in our understanding of life. And in research, you have these hypotheses, at least in other social sciences research. In literature, literature also you can have a hypothesis in literature, but in other sciences where you need social sciences, where you need to test hypothesis with variables, you have all these hypothesis, forming hypothesis, testing hypothesis with variables, and this will enrich the knowledge, and it will it's given advancement through scientific theories and concepts. So that is the next thing. Why we research? And generally, research is giving new knowledge to the already existing body of work. And therefore, we need to research on any topic. And in this context, as people in the academia, we constantly do action research. This action research is when you have problems in your classes, when you have problems at hand. Human mind and mentality is to solve those problems. And as you're solving problems, you stumble upon really enriching experience. As teachers' point of view, when you set a question paper, you get to know the mindset of the question paper setter. So like that, as students, when they write answers, when we evaluate those answer scripts, we are able to understand the mind of the student. So like that, enriching of knowledge advancement happens. And that is why we research. So we can research almost anything and everything, from question paper to answer scripts to even people when they speak, we can research. And you can identify the theory that they have in their mind when they speak certain in a particular fashion, and the concepts that they come up with. So research becomes important, and because we are trying to give knowledge to the already present body of work. Next slide, Nadia. Nadia, next slide. Nadia. Yeah. So these are some of the research skills. I have enlisted only 3 main important skills: observation, critical thinking, and analysis. I think for any person, and I think all of us are researchers in some form or the other, we constantly keep researching in our life. Sometimes people, as they grow old, or not grow old, as they mature in life, the observation shifts from the trivial to the more serious things in life, and the more serious at that point in time becomes trivial after some point in time. So observation is the key in research. So you have to be very observant in whatever you're reading, whatever you're looking, whatever you're formulating. And anything when you read, the first point that you will be looking into is observation, to find out what are the key points, what are the ideas that somebody is telling or some article is telling. And then after you observe, you critically think whether it is suitable, whether it is feasible, whether this is the right track to think, or can it be alternatively thought about. So the critical thinking aspect also is a very important skill that can be developed, which all of us have, but over a period of time, with a lot of reading, these skills will be upgraded. And the third is analysis. So blindly, all truths, all facts cannot be accepted. So when you critically think, you start analyzing the truth behind those critical thoughts, the observations that you make. And then when you make an analysis, the credibility of the analysis has to be explicated. So research skills. So I consider these three very important aspects to be research skills. The next slide, Nadia. Okay, so now coming to the very types of research methodology. I think all those who have done research and who are planning to pursue the research, these are some of the key terms that you will come across when you do research, especially in your social sciences, business environment, and also other disciplines, engineering disciplines. These are mostly some of the methods in which you go about with research. So any research when you make, first you will formulate your own research problem, which I'll be discussing later. The types of methodology you will work with in research. So talking from quantitative, qualitative, descriptive, analytical, applied, and the other thing is future research, conclusion in research. There are other slides that I'm not able to see. Nadia, can you just make it a little small, Nadia? Yeah, fundamental research, exploratory research, conclusive research, surveys, and case study. So these are some of the types of research methodology one would follow. The previous slide, Nadia. Yeah, thank you. So some of the these are some of the methods, types of research methodology that you would follow. So I will just keep this into this category of descriptive versus analytical. So I am just trying to tell you these different types and how they are different in each other. So you can follow any of this methodology. Sometimes you can also go into mixed methodologies. So because if your research is into too many areas and you're trying to pinpoint to bring it into one context, then you can use mixed methodology. So descriptive versus analytical is the first point that I would like to discuss. So descriptive, as all of you know, it's mostly fact finding and trying to descriptive is mostly surveys, fact finding, inquiry, and this is mostly used in social sciences and business. So most of the time you will be able to make your statement problem, then you start researching on how to find information, and then you make your surveys. Based on surveys, you will come to conclusions. So that's one way of looking at research, descriptive versus analytical. On the other hand, analytical is you know already the facts. You know the facts that are available. You analyze it, and then you make a critical evaluation. So there only you have to use your critical thinking skills. So when you already know facts, that is like you can go to the archives, you can already recorded data you can take. An example could be, for example, let's say one point in time when you're talking about the crime rates in a particular country in a particular time, you can take the facts from wherever that is available, and then you can analyze the methodology in which certain things are happening, and then make your critical evaluation or your report or research study. So that's the first descriptive versus analytical. Next is applied versus fundamental. So we will see the difference between applied research and fundamental research. See, applied research is mostly action research. When I say action research, it mostly happens in educational fields, because as we are all teachers or students doing research on some educational level, we try to find solutions for the problems that we undergo. So when we do that, we try to find methodologies that work with our own students, or problems that happen in our own environment, and we try to understand and try to provide a solution for the betterment of education, of a betterment of learning itself. So we have all these things to be done in applied research. And applied research is mostly finding solutions to a problem faced by the society. And this is also called discourse methodology, where you have a different solutions for the problems that you encounter in your own specific area. Then applied versus fundamental. So fundamental research is nothing, mostly it is used in the marketing business and evaluation of resources. So where you use fundamental, you make generalizations, and then after generalizations, you make formulations of a theory, and then you try to prove it. So that fundamental basic research is mostly for brand building and to add more to the scientific body of work that you already have. So that is the difference between applied and fundamental research. And then the third point is, third methodology is quantitative versus qualitative. So both you can use in research, and especially if you're in the field of arts, social sciences, economics discipline use quantitative, qualitative, survey, case study, and commerce also largely uses in their business management. So you can always explore interdisciplinary research. And when you do that, a good example could be if you're doing ICSSR projects or UGC projects or national level projects where you try to find this problem and try to solve the problem, you can use all of these methods and have a mixed methodology to prove your point, to prove your hypothesis, to make a statement problem. And then from the statement problem, you can find solution and leave it with the solution that you have analyzed for a particular problem. And if you can solve all problems, is good. If you cannot, then you will have to work on and leave that problem for others researchers to solve. So that is finding the research gap, or that where you leave, there are other researchers to follow footsteps. So when you're talking about quantitative versus qualitative, quantitative, as all of you know, it's the measurement of quantity. So the amount of people involved or the amount of labor involved, it's more of numerical research. Whereas qualitative research is human behavior, underlying motives, attitudes, opinions, facts that help in determining. It's more of a behavioral science of people to particular problems or to particular situations. So that becomes a qualitative research. And how you go about qualitative research could be through questionnaires, through data and all that. So this types of research methodology that you would like to apply depends on the field of study that you are inquiring into, or the knowledge points that you're going to throw upon. So that so these are some of the methods you can do. And the last one I will just talk about is conceptual versus empirical. Again, conceptual research methodology is you conceive an idea, so an abstract idea. Mostly this kind of research is done in philosophy. For example, you try to take a research philosophy, and then you try to either prove or disprove the philosophy. So that can be happening in conceptual research methodology. They develop a concept or develop an idea, and then you either talk for it or you talk against it. So that is conceptual framework or conceptual research methodology versus empirical research methodology. Empirical research methodology again is data-based. So conclusions can be verified and it can be observed, and the experimental design can be developed. And in empirical research, you will have control groups, and you will have your hypothesis, and you have to set up an experiment or experimental research where you will try and test to find whether this experiment is working in an experimental group. And there you will automatically have your variables as control group. You will have one control group, you will have an experimental group, and see whether your empirical data works, whether your empirical formulation works with a particular group. And then you will have to manipulate the group to get the evidence that you are trying to get. So that is conceptual research methodology versus empirical research methodology. Again, one more variation here you have is one-time research. Like one-time research is single point, single time period. For example, if you want to, I'm just giving an example from English. Let's say English language, development of English language in the 21st century. So one time frame I will take, and only during that point in time, whatever has evolved, I will be researching on, and I will be using any one of these methodologies to to discuss my viewpoint, to come about with my solutions to the problem. So that is one-time research. And the last we have is historical research. Historical research for department, I mean, for arts history studies. And that need not be very specific to the historical studies. It could also mean to any of your engineering backgrounds, because the history of anything can also be traced from that point in time till now. A specific age limit or time limit or year limit, you can restrict yourself and then go about in using this methodology. The next slide, please. Nadia, next slide, please. Nadia? Nadia, next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So as I told you, this quantitative research approach and qualitative research approach, these are two approaches that are mainly used in research. And this could be classified into inferential approach, experimental approach, and simulation approach. So inferential approach, when I'm talking about inferential approach, this inferential approach is mostly data-based, survey-based, and sample of the people with the same characteristics or different characteristics. So inferential approach mainly deals with 3 points. One is database. So you can get data information, and then from there you can do your inferential approach to research. And another is survey based. You can make your surveys quantitative, qualitative, all methods, mixed methodologies you can apply and get information. And from there you can make a survey based approach. I mean, you can make a survey based and then make an inference. And the third is a sample of the population or with same characteristic. Like you have certain parameters, or you call it variables, and based on the same variables, you can try to get your information and make an inferential approach. The next would be experimental approach, which again will use all the three. And in experimental approach, you will have a control group, an experimental group, and your research environment will have variables you can manipulate, and you can have with the you can have with the experimental group and control group, wherein you will try to have your hypothesis and see whether it works. Sometimes your hypothesis may work, sometimes your hypothesis may not work. So recording the working hypothesis and the non-working hypothesis is perfectly fine in research. And that is an experimental approach that you will be dealing with. And the third part, third point, subclassified research approach is simulation approach. And in simulation approach, you will have to have, this is mostly for context in business model. For example, what will happen in the next 10 years? Recently, I remember going through one mathematics, computer application and mathematics thesis, which dealt with inventory queuing system. For engineering graduates, I think you will be better familiar with inventories. The customer need not wait, or they will not wait for the inventory system was the idea that the PhD research topic was proceeding into. So the simulation approach is has certain parameters, like you have to understand what are the conclusions that you are arriving at, and then what are the parameters that you are using, and the exogenous variables that you are using for simulation approach. So all this will have both qualitative and quantitative. And qualitative, mostly the subject assessment of attitude, opinion, behavior, and research insights and comparison. So these are some of the approaches that you will be mostly doing in research. Can we have the next slide, please? Yes, next slide. Previous slide. Okay, these are some of the places where you can do research. The first is library research. So we were a generation of library research people, but today I doubt if people really do library research, because you have net center research is what I would call the today researchers, because everything is available online, open source. So, and it is a good thing. It's an evolution from library research to the net center research, or Google research, or ResearchGate research centers. So these are some of the websites through which you can research. But primarily, I would suggest library research gives you a personal opinion. It gives you a better understanding, and you have facts there, verifiable facts. So library research is one place that you can have, and library research mostly lends itself for records, documents, then historical documents, tapes, fiction, recorded notes, crime reports. So these all you can get from a library research. And the next place of research is field research. For example, marketing and the other social sciences that are there, you can do a lot of field research. For example, let us say in agriculture, how agriculture was some 50 years back and how agriculture is today. So the innovations in agriculture, some topics like that, you can go on a field research, make your own questionnaires, make your own notes, and make your own observations and case studies. And then you can submit, go with questionnaires, get opinions, get facts verified. So, and here also you can do a part of library research and a little bit of field research. So both will help in research field. And the third one is laboratory research. Mostly this laboratory research is trying and testing new methodologies and trying to do it in small groups, random groups, and you assign roles to people and then try to do it under a controlled way. And that is laboratory research. And many of the science research in laboratories. So these are places of research. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, now I'm just trying to differentiate between research methodology versus research methods. So I think the previous slides we did know what is research methodology and what are research methods. So research methodology here, as I told you, it's very systematic and theoretical approach. We collect data and evaluate data. There's research methods, how you carry out. So we know we're going to collect data. Okay, now how are you going to collect the data? How are you going to evaluate the data is what is research methods. Research methodology is a detailed plan that helps the researchers on track. Mostly, when you're starting a research, you begin in one point, and as you go, it is like a maze. As you go deep down, you get confused and you waver here and there. But if you have a plan and stick to the plan, you will be right on the track. If you want to finish your research in 3 years, you have to stick on to a track and finish it in 3 years. But if you get too much absorbed with the topic that you're chosen and with the characters that you're coming across, then there is a tendency for the researcher to just beat the bush and go off the track. So you should always have a very set track and plan, and you follow that, and that research methodology will help you to do. And the research method is the strategies, the techniques that you're using, and how you're going to analyze and how are you going to present that information. So that method, if you are clear, then it will go hand in hand and your research will be very fruitful. And the third point that I would like to discuss is it brings a new perspective. For sometimes you may think research is this, but as you delve deeper, you may understand that research, what you're trying to do, is much more than what you already thought of. So your perspective will be set when you do in a particular research methodology. And the research method that you use is you'll finally find a solution to the problem, because your problem will be there and you'll finally find a solution to the problem. The next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, these are some of the points that I would like you to just to look at. The exploratory research, explanatory research, and descriptive research. Mostly descriptive research is used in arts when we are doing research writing in literature. Mostly it is descriptive research. Exploratory and explanatory research, there are some areas or disciplines that need this kind of research. So the meanings are there for you to read. You intend to explore the research questions. The researcher undertakes this kind of research when you're willing to change your idea direction when new data reveals. So this is very important, because when you're exploratory research, you go with one set of idea, and then as you go, you find the challenges, and then slowly you have to rework. So there's nothing wrong in reworking in a research, and it's a research. You tend to have blind alleys, and then you'll have to cross over those blind alleys by changing your idea, understanding, and then you form the base for a research. So that's exploratory research. And explanatory research, you have to identify the cause, and then you have to identify the effects and the phenomena that the researcher study. And sometimes it is done with assess impacts with specific changes in existing norms. For example, you can't fit all norms into same category. So according to the variables, you will have to sometime change, and that will be an explanatory reason why you changed and what is the reason you have to take another parameter into existence. So as and when you proceed the research in an explanatory research, you will be explaining or you will be arguing the reasons for why there is a particular change. then the presence of cause and effect relationship can be confirmed only if specific causal evidences exist. So wherever you are trying to argue, you will have to show the evidence as to why this explanatory research happens and why you have changed a specific norm to benefit and to prove this evidence. And descriptive research helps you to provide answers to the question and how it is associated with the research problem. And generally, when you make a research problem, what you're supposed to do with the research problem and come up with a solution. And with respect to variables, you can see like variables. You can also have like situation, or sometimes you can also have unlikely situations with the different variables and come to terms when you're writing a descriptive approach. So quantitative and qualitative design could be one of the methods in which you follow, or sometimes it could be a mixed methodology. This next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so now when you're doing a research, you have to identify or understand research problem. So what is a research problem? I think all of us as teachers or students, problem is a very easy thing that we all have. Anything is a problem, and research problem, you need to only have, for example, I will give you a research question and a problem, pose a question in general manner. For example, let us say Japan is producing higher. Why is production in Japan higher than in India? Let's make this one question. I'm just posing a question in a general manner. I'm just telling why is production in Japan higher than in India? Let's say this is a general question. It's a question that I'm asking, and this question has a lot of ambiguities. So your research problem, the research question should be free from ambiguities. When I mean ambiguities, this question that I asked, why is production in Japan higher than in India, is a question that I'm asking. And when I ask this question, the immediate response that you get from your mind is, what production is improved in Japan? What type of industry are we talking about? And what facts are represented as higher? So these kind of questions you get when I make generalized research problem statements. So your research problem should be very free from ambiguities. It should be very clear, and it should be very understandable. And one particular point, like for example, let us say the same, why is production in Japan higher than in India? If that question, if you are going to take, so you have to start what sort of production, which industry are you talking about, and what facts are represented, and which is higher. So these are some of the points that you will naturally ask as questions. So if you ask those kind of questions, you will sort of get an answer. Okay, this is the problem that I'm addressing. So understand the nature of the problem. So if you understand the nature of that particular problem, then you will start understanding, okay, I'm talking about labor, I'm talking about industry, or I'm talking about the time frame, or I'm talking about Japan and India in contrast to exports and imports. So these are all the other questions that are embedded in one common question. So if you have a common question, it will lead to ambiguities. So you have to be very specific in your research problem, and you can take one or two research problem and then try to argue your way through your thesis, and finally find a solution to the problem. And in the course of your problem, you may have some pitfalls, you may have some limitations, you may have some things that are unexplained for. You cannot explain certain things because that was not into your focus area. So those things you will allow for future researchers to find out. So that will be the research gap. So when you have this research gap, that's from there only you can work your research problem. So if you read a lot of research articles, you will have these research gaps which you are supposed to read and find that research gap, and then you have to substitute with your own understanding of the knowledge. So understand the nature of the problem and the survey the available literature. So generally, available literature is any research done on that particular field, any research done on that particular topic, any research done on that particular problem. In the sense, your own disciplines, you will have those problems available that are given as articles, research publications, dissertation, thesis. So if you go through that of different researchers, research articles and research thesis, you will find this research gap. And when you're able to find the research gap from one to the other, you will start reading, like going back from the known to the unknown. So then you will have to start searching this available literature, and then you develop your ideas through discussions in the form of arguments. You can either have for arguments, or you can also have against arguments. And that's how you will decide on a research problem. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is to find a research problem. So determining the field of research in which the researcher is keen to the research work. So assuming that we are from diverse backgrounds or diverse disciplines, you can choose your field of research. It could be literature, it could be language, it could be economics, it could be commerce, it could be engineering, mechanical, any field that you choose to make your research on. And the next step is to develop a mastery on the subject, on the area. Pardon the A there. So any area that you are very, it is like when you read a book, you'll be interested in some authors, some writers, because they vibe with you. Their writing style you like very much. So like that, you have to develop some kind of mastery. That is, reading will help you develop that mastery. Then you review the research conducted in the area to know the trends and studies that are being conducted in the area. For example, today in literature, we are moving from green studies to seascape as blue studies. So when you are shifting your focus from one to the other, then from there, how will you develop all the interdisciplinary study along with the sea, like maritime studies, zoology, and marine aquaculture. So like that, your research will become more interdisciplinary when you start conducting in the areas that you are interested in. And then the next point will be how you draw analogy and insights in identifying. Generally, you will have people of like-mindedness, and when you get together with like-minded people, you get to know the common insights. So sometimes when you discussion gives you new light into different research problems. So if you decide to work on something, you can at the most discuss with your supervisor or a peer group or a group of researchers who are delving into different areas. So when you brainstorm your areas of research, sometimes you will find sudden sparks of knowledge, and that will help you into getting insights into new areas to provide more research in a new area of research, field. And then you identify the specific aspect of the problem that is investigated. So if you're trying to delve into a new area, see what all available literature is there in that area, and then you start reading books, material, information, and then find the research gap, and then see how you can give solution to the problems that are already existing. Yes, next slide, please. So after you understand your research problem, then you have to formulate your hypothesis. Hypothesis is nothing but your own explanation or your own prediction, like what will happen, or what do you think is the future. And for this, I would like to give you my own example. When I did my PhD thesis, I formulated the thesis that my hypothesis was that technology-driven language learning will be the future. And I tried to prove the point. And it was a simple hypothesis, and I was doing my experimental model. I was experimenting with the experimental group and control group. It is more like a laboratory research that I was having of my own classrooms. And then we were trying to find out the possible explanation for a particular situation. So I tried to formulate my hypothesis, and I was trying to prove it experimentally. I was having a control group and an experimental group, and I was trying to teach one group through this hypothesis that I was trying to test, and the other group the normal methodology. And finally, I proved that this hypothesis works. So scientifically, you have to make some reasonable predictions. Predictions, we are good at predicting, especially in business and in other fields where you know market trends and all that. So when you're trying to predict certain things, then you formulate your hypothesis, see if it works. Sometimes your hypothesis may not work. Even that is good. Doesn't work is also fine. So you will prioritize. You will start enhancing the purpose of your research, objective of your research, and how you're going to go about it. And then you will make your data collection, and then try to prove your simple hypothesis. Or sometimes when you're trying to do that, You may have alternate hypothesis that evolves. So you may have an alternative hypothesis. And finally, sometimes your hypothesis may not work. So that also can be your study report. So null hypothesis also you may have. So these are the hypotheses that you will have to formulate when you're trying to do some research. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, so now literature review, where to find them? So this is another point that most of you as researchers, first-time researchers or n number of research experience you have for a project, if you are working on a project on any UGC or ICSSR projects, you will have to do literature review. Literature review is a very important aspect in literature, in research. So you will find literature review in magazines and newspapers, because common problems come in magazines and newspapers. So you can collect those common problems of newspapers and magazines, and then from there you can work. For example, access to clean drinking water. Let's say if you're doing a project on access to clean drinking water. So you can survey like 5 years of summertime acute water crisis, and from there you can derive your hypothesis, then you can derive your facts and details, then you can go for your surveys, and then you can understand and tell why you are having this water problem. So like that you can deduct and then finally come to your conclusion, or you can identify the problem and find a solution to the problem. Electronic database, all your electronic websites, no? There are, in the next slide, I'll be talking about the different websites where you can find material like Research Scholar, Google Scholar, PubMed, Scopus journals. So wherever you can read, like conference journals and books, conference papers, thesis, research papers. So these are all ample areas where you can do literature review. So as and when you read, you can find where all there is a gap, the sense you need more information to understand this problem. So that research gap you have to find. And then when you find the research gap, then you can start your own research. So reading and literature reviewing will definitely give you an idea into how you have to go about research. And from there, when you read a lot of research journals, that will give you new ideas to travel in a field where you want to find the problem and to find a solution. Yes, the next slide, please. Yeah, these are some of the database online that you can see, literature search database. But again, I have given you a few things for engineering and medical database as well. Jaster, Scopus, Google Scholar, Embase for medical database, and PubMed for medical, Inspire, HEP, and IEEE Explore for engineering database. So these are all links that are there. You can go, and this is all available freely for you to find your research gap and start working on your research. And the structure of research writing, I think Anthony Sami sir and Professor Rufus already discussed about it. So you can always, next slide, please. Nadia, next slide. Nadia, next slide, please. Yeah, so yeah, the research writing structure, there is always a plan, as you know, what is known and then what is unknown. From that, that introduction will be what is known and what is unknown. So from there, you will come down. So you think you know so many things. And then as you start exploring, then you will know what all you don't know. So from there, you will start finding some methods or methodologies, and how do we solve it? And that will be of some of the methodologies that you use. Research methodology and the research methods of finding your information. And then finally, your results will be what are we solving, that information that I have got, and how am I going to put it across. And then that information you will give it as discussions. Discussions is sometimes so many people will have so many ideas. You collate all those ideas, and then you talk about the solution that you want to give, or which you think is the best suited. So that will be your structure for research writing. So from introduction, methods, results, and discussion. A smaller version of this could be a research paper. A more elaborate one could be a research proposal. Okay. The next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is a dissertation structure which is available all over. So wherever it's a common platform, it is from open resource, so you can always go back. So when you have an abstract, it is easier to do your introduction, literature review, methodology, findings, and results. So this is the sections that you divide your thesis, dissertation into, and your dissertation structure will help you be more focused and it will help you find a lot of information which you need to do. And wherever you find information, you just, it's like arranging of your facts. The olden day methods of arranging all this used to be through cards, flashcards, where we used to go to the library, collect flashcards for introduction chapter, literature review chapter, methodology chapter, and finally our own findings chapter. Like that we used to do. But thanks to our IT revolution and knowledge outflow in the internet, this now we are able to do with system. In system, you can have different folders, file folders, and as and when your acumen allows you to get data and get information and put it according to the different section, this is how your dissertation will be structured. And finally, you can run into an overall one. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, so when you are generally planning for research writing, the first idea is brainstorm ideas. So brainstorming is a very important part in any writing activity, in any writing research work. So brainstorming is you take a pen and paper and whatever comes to your brain, you just, because ideas will just flow. At least I believe ideas flow. When ideas flow, you just catch them and put it down in paper. And once you put down all, they could be really intelligent ideas, they could be even stupid ideas. But nevertheless, don't waste those ideas. Put it down in paper, because we belong to the paper and pen school. I don't know how you have notepad, sticky pad, whatever is the new norm. You can follow. Brainstorm your ideas and put it across when you're in your free time, or when you're thinking about all the time, then you're thinking about your research. Your ideas should be put down in paper. Then finally, you put all those ideas into chapter divisions. Okay, my first chapter will have these ideas. My second chapter will have these ideas. Third chapter will have these ideas. Fourth chapter. So like that, when you have your ideas divided into chapters, and your chapter division will focus on primarily basic plan you have made. And from the basic plan, you can put all these ideas into those chapters. And then as and when you can divide your chapter well, slowly you can start working one by one, step by step, deadlines to finish your chapters, because the planning and the systematic approach is very important in research writing. So you'll have to systematically go one after the other. But there are some people who like to work from beginning to end, and there are some who go reverse. So top down and bottom up is there. There are two ways, and according to your own understanding and according to your own convenience, you can either go top down or bottom up. It is according to the researcher's process. And then now coming back to the citations and bibliography, and when you're doing research, there are three aspects to research. The first is the affiliations or the front matter. When I say the front matter, it is the first few pages of your research, like your index page, title page, your table of contents, and your acknowledgements. And they are all the front part of first part of the research. And your introduction will also be the first part. Then you have the middle part, that is your methodology, research methods, literature review, research findings. And then you'll have a conclusion. That will be one body. And towards the end, you have citations and bibliography. That will be the third part. So in-text citations are the things that you give inside your research writing. So inside, for example, you're quoting one book and one author, then inside text citation you should have. And the same citation, at the end, you have to show it as bibliography. So bibliography could be otherwise works consulted in MLA style. So that also you can plan side by side. So front matter, middle matter, and back matter. So all the three need some kind of understanding and some kind of division when you are doing a research writing. So the main is body part. That is your introduction, methodology, conclusion, finding, limitations, all that. But to support that main part, you need the front matter and you need the back matter, that is your citation, bibliography. Okay, the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, then the next important point is language. So importance of language in research is very important. And when you do research writing of any discipline, first you should ensure clarity and precision. When I say clarity, I'm talking about the spellings, I'm talking about the tenses, I'm talking about the language used, which should not be biased, which should be non-biased. So all that you have to understand. And sometimes some publishers, like if you're writing a research article, you have to see your publisher, whether it's a British publisher or American publisher, your writer is a British author and American author, or your audience are British authors or people or Americans. So accordingly, you have to have some uniformity in your language use. And when you're telling statements clearly and precisely, they will get a better understanding of the idea that you're trying to talk. And then you have cohesion and coherence. So in excuse me, hello, is there something wrong? Hello, I'm not able to see the screen. Nadia? Nadia? I'm not able to see the screen, Nadia. Nadia? Hello, I can't see the screen. Can somebody share the screen? Excuse me, can you come to the screen, please? Oh, they have stopped, is it? I know it's going live screen. I'm not able to see the videos. Yeah, a few more slides to go. No, it says live. Stop. Hello, am I audible? Hello, am I audible? Was it coherent really happening?
Ma'am, ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can hear you, Ma, and I'm not able to see the screen.
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, there is a technical glitch, ma'am. I'll present it again, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. The last bit, I think I'm almost coming to the end of my presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Is this visible, ma'am?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
able to see.
yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so you have to use cohesion, coherence, and appropriate linkers from paragraph to paragraph. I will just rush quickly and the important points I have at the end. So I would like to finish. To use standardized terminologies and convention to other specific writing styles such as MLA, Chicago Manual Style Sheet, or IEEE, depending on what area discipline you are following. I'm not able to see the screen, Nadia. Nadia, I'm not able to see the screen, or I don't know who is it. Okay, the next point is that linkers, when you use with sentences and paragraphs, I think this is commonly language used in research, which all of you will know. And then you look into tenses in research writing, literature review methods in writing. So there are some tenses that you follow. Then you have bibliography, that is end matter, as I was talking about, references, appendices, and illustrations. And when you talk about reference sites, I think there's a problem with the. Hello.
1 minute, ma'am. Ma'am will present it again. Sorry, ma'am. Really sorry,
Thank you,
ma'am.
thank you, thank you. That's okay. Technology happens.
Ma'am.
Yeah, I'll quickly wind up if you can just bear with me for another 5 minutes.
Ma'am, can you see the screen, ma'am?
Yeah, I can see the screen, but it's not moving. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Okay.
Yeah, these are the linkers that you use when you're talking about your language aspect. And the next slide, please. The next slide, Nadia, Asha, whoever's there, please. Yet, though in spite, nevertheless, on the contrary, thus, moreover, these are linkers. And to conclude, as mentioned, stated, similarly, finally, and can you just move to the next slide, please? Next slide. Yeah, so these are some of the things that you will be looking into literature review method describing. So use some of the tenses you use, and the examples are there for you. You can view it later. Go to the next slide, please. Bibliography. Bibliography is the end matter where you have references, appendices, and illustrations, if at all you have any, when you're doing your research. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, reference citation. I think these are some of the things that you will have to look into when you're referencing. When you do your citations, MLA for humanities, APA for education, psychology, engineering, and sciences. Chicago and Tourbillon these are these style sheets, they are called. And according to your discipline, you will choose your style sheets. Okay. And these are standardized acknowledgement from the style sheets and citations indexes that you will have to follow any one of this if you're writing a research article, research publication, or dissertation and thesis based on your university's approval. Next slide, please. Okay, core elements in work cited. So this is another very important aspect in bibliography. These are the elements that you'll have to focus. That is author, title of the source, title of container, other contributors, version, number, publisher, and publication details. These are all details you should know the way of working. And these will be core elements in bibliography. Next slide, please. Yeah, these types of citation, sometimes you are verbatim quoting. For example, you have a copying from a source and you have to put the copied content at double inverted commas and you have to put in text citation. Thank you, Asha. And I think you're okay with the technical. Are there people still connected? Asha, are there still people connected?
Yes, ma'am. People are there, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So
Yes.
verbatim quoting is one method.
Around 500 participants are there, ma'am.
Thank you, thank you. Paraphrasing is another method, and summarizing. So these 3 points you can cite. So in text citation, when you're doing from wherever you are trying to get the idea, you can do any of this and then put it in your in text citation, and then at the end you can give the bibliography. Next slide, please. Okay, we can just run the next few slides. From a book, if you're writing in text, this is how you will quote from the book, the name of the author and page number. And in the reference list, this is how you will give your reference list. Books edited, you will give like this. Book with 3 or more authors, you will give like this. These are all citations used in the MLA hand style sheet. Okay, next we will go to APA reference style. Next slide, please. In APA reference style, the name of the author and the year, name and the reference list. This is how it goes. So these are some of the basic information that you need to know when you are referencing from books and journals. And journal is given down. Next slide, please. Okay, so today technology has made work more easy. And here I am sharing some of the reference management softwares, which most of you will be aware of. And for the ones who are just finding your way, please use all these softwares to help your research more enjoyable and research more easy. And some of the best known are Zotero, Mendeley, Paperpile, RefWorks, Citavi. If you just go through this for citations and other things, it's very helpful. And the next slide, please. These are some of the sources where you can do your citation very easily. So all you need to do is once you do your research work, then your setting of your bibliography can be done using any of these websites that I have given, especially for engineering, it's citationmachine.net, Scribber, MyBib, all this can be easily accessed, and you can put all the information there and it will help you do the in-text citation and the bibliography as well. So finally, the key takeaway from this particular research methodology is, first you have to learn the writing tools. If you understand the writing tools, then it is easy for you to do things. And then the next point is your thesis requirement and format guidelines of your university before you start writing your thesis. That's very important, because every university will have their own methodology in having your thesis done. So check the requirements, and then you start writing. The more you start writing, the lesser time you will have to edit. So when you write, structure it well and write, and then keep some time to edit. So be very realistic in your goals and set your time frame and move accordingly, and make smaller progression day by day, because you at one stretch you cannot do everything. So give some time gap and work your way towards making your research writing or research article, anything in a very enjoyable fashion. Take small breaks. It will be good for your physical health and mental health. And don't procrastinate. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow never comes. So where right then and there you decide, when your idea strikes, you start writing, whether it's day or night. Reward yourself for every small progress, and don't be afraid to seek help. That's a very important point. Seeking help, which none of us do when we do research. Research is, though it is an individual process, it's also a collective effort from your research guide, from your friends, well-wishers. So feel free to discuss all that and get the possible inputs. And with everybody's help and blessings, definitely your thesis would be a good way. It will come with a good intent, because you're intended to solve solutions or give solutions. So you will be very happy to find solutions. So on that note, I thank the organizers. I thank all the participants for the patient listening. And I don't know if I have enlightened you in some small way, but anyway, I thank you for this patient listening, and thank you for being a good audience. And hope to get some questions, maybe personally or in the chat, which I will try to give my responses. And you're always free to meet me or call me to any research ideas if you want to discuss. I'm available at SRH College, so you feel free to discuss with me. And thank you for the opportunity, all the team that has been doing this wonderful work, helping the research culture grow within your institution and across. I thank SRM University for giving me this opportunity, and have a good, nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Seriously, for this down-to-earth words from you, really made us feel proud, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Truly, your insights and experiences undoubtedly enriched our understanding of research methodology. We are truly honored to have you with us today, ma'am. Together, I hope we had explored the various phases of research methodology, and I'm sure that each one of us will leave here today enriched with a deeper understanding of the subject. I extend my heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am. I'm excited to see the transformative impact that this workshop will have in our research endeavors. Let us embark on this journey with an open mind, ready to absorb the wisdom that Dr. A. Kavita imparted in us. Thank you so much, ma'am. As we approach the end of the day of this workshop, I would like to invite Dr. K. A. Vilasani, Assistant Professor of English, Department of EFL, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing a perfect man. Says Francis Bacon. A very good afternoon, everyone present here. On behalf of all the faculties, I'm glad to be standing here to express my word of thanks. A special thanks to our chief guest, Dr. A. Kavita ma'am, Associate Professor, SRMIST College for Women, Chennai, for accepting our invitation and for being here with us today. Thank you, ma'am. Your thoughts on the principles of research methodology were truly helpful to us, ma'am. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed Dean, Sir, SRMIST Ramapuram, and respected Vice Principal, Academic, and VP Admin. Also, I extend thanks to our beloved HOD, ma'am, Dr. Leela, for always supporting and guiding to complete this day in a successful way. Also, I thank Dr. T. Sridevi ma'am for organizing such a wonderful session, which is like an electricity where we can extract power and energy. I would be failing in my duty if I did not thank my colleague, Ms. Nadia, Assistant Professor, for being her technical support and also being a helping hand has made this day possible. I would also like to thank each and every one of you for being here and making this day a wonderful and memorable one. For our dear teachers and students, thank you.
Thank you, SRM team, and happy researching, all of you. May the best come, and may you research and find new knowledge and contribute new knowledge to the society, and best wishes in your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. As we bring this day to a close, I'm reminded of the quote by Albert Einstein, who said, "The only source of knowledge is experience." Through our shared experiences, discussions, and the wisdom imparted by our esteemed speaker, we are equipping ourselves with a deeper understanding of the research methodology. I thank you all. I look forward to your continued exploration of the fascinating world of research methodology. Thank you all. See you tomorrow. Take care. Dear participants, kindly wait. We will post the feedback link in the chat.